Right now at 5, a new Oklahoma law set to toughen sentencing for accessory to murder, what it means for future cases.
And we have a couple more rainy days before the weekend approaches.
Plus, a local mother speaks out after the sentencing of 2 people connected to her son's death. We'll see how she's fighting to prevent other families from experiencing the same heartbreak.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Elise Snowy.
And I'm Lindsay Gaffney.
It's Wednesday. What is it? May 7th
I believe
today?
So. Yeah, it is.
How about that? Already
right
7
through
days.
May.
I know.
I mean, 7 days into it. It's crazy.
I know.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. Almost halfway through the year.
I mean, and pretty far into severe weather season
Certainly.
as well. And we haven't had too disruptive of a season, so I can't complain about that.
Sure.
But we do still have some more rain chances ahead, so let's go ahead and take a look outside. We've got a low risk for severe weather today, just in the southern counties out in Oklahoma, southern parts of Missouri, and in Arkansas. Now tomorrow we're going to have more scattered showers, but not as big of a threat as we could see later on tonight. Now we do have a few showers going on right there out in the Joplin area, out towards Pittsburgh, even further out west. These are very light showers, just a light sprinkle, maybe even a drizzle, and temperatures are in the upper 50s. So you can see roads are a little wet out there, and that's going to continue over the next hour or so, so right in time for morning commute. And like I said, it's just a very light drizzle, sprinkles, not a huge disruption, but a little annoying. And that's going to continue until we start to see thunderstorms pushing in mid-morning. So you can see by about 7 a.m., 7:30, you can see out in the western counties, clusters of thunderstorms moving in. Some widespread rainfall, but more isolated storms are going to start to pop up. Now, this is not our severe threat, so these are not going to be severe, but they could be a little loud, a little scary. So about 10 a.m., you can see just south of the Pittsburgh area, out near Columbus, Oswego, a little strong thunderstorm, and then those continue to lift a little further north. Widespread heavy rainfall, even maybe some rumbles of thunder up there in the northern counties. This is starting early afternoon to mid-afternoon, even early evening. So we're going to have some heavy rainfall in the northern counties, about 1 inch to 2 inches of rain, maybe even pushing up to 2.5 in some isolated areas. And then mostly isolated storms in the central and southern counties throughout the rest of the evening. And then later on this evening is when we could see that potential for strong to severe weather. You can see isolated storm down there near Bella Vista, but it quickly clears out of here. So we're not seeing a huge threat. But those isolated storms are going to start mid-morning, but I'm going to have a full forecast coming up.
All right, Lindsay, thanks. We'll see you soon. A semi-truck overturns at the downstream roundabout yesterday afternoon. Joplin Fire and Police, along with the Newton County Ambulance and Reddings Mill Fire, responded to the call around 4:30 p.m. The semi-truck hauling 40,000 pounds of dog food struck the roundabout with the left wheels going in about 1/4 of the landscaping, then overturned to the right. Traffic heading south was diverted to the road behind the Q store till about 8:45. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stinson signs Laura and Ashley's law, strengthening sentencing requirements for certain crimes in the Sooner State. Now, beginning November 1st, crimes of accessory to murder in the first degree and accessory to murder in the second degree will be added to the list of felony offenses requiring criminals to serve at least 85% of their sentence. The law is named after 2 girls, Laura Bible and Ashley Freeman, who went missing in December of 1999. Ashley's parents were found murdered in their burned home. Decades later, the cold case finally centered on 3 suspects, but 2 of them had already died. The 3rd suspect, Ronnie Busick, eventually agreed to a plea deal in 2020, pleading guilty to accessory to murder, kidnapping, and arson. However, in 2023, Busick was released early from prison due to good behavior. Going forward, Laura and Ashley's law ensures those who aid in such heinous crimes face stricter consequences, something Laura's mother, Lorraine, pushed for years. The sentencing in southeast Kansas comes as Drug overdose rates are on the rise in the Sunflower State. KOAM Samantha Walker spoke to the mother of an overdose victim who says awareness is an important part of prevention.
According to the Kansas Department of Health and Environment, more than 700 people lost their lives to a drug overdose in 2022, with more than 67% of those deaths attributed to opioids such as fentanyl. This week, 2 people were sentenced for their roles distributing fentanyl, which resulted in the death of a Frontenac teen.
This is ending in the criminal part of this. I feel like another little piece of him is gone. You know, like this has not really kept him alive in my heart, but it's kept it real, and I don't want people to forget him.
Cooper Campiti was 18 years old when he died as a result of a fentanyl overdose in April 2023. Cooper's family continues sharing their story about the dangers of the opioid, speaking at schools and town halls across the 4 states.
And share Cooper's story, and a lot of the feedback that we hear is they had no idea about fentanyl and about how it gets into the drugs.
She says the prosecution of fentanyl cases like the one involving Cooper is important, but she adds awareness is what's needed to help prevent more tragedies like this in Crawford County.
What you're getting yourself into when you take something from the street that's not coming from a prescribed pill jar from a pharmacy and from your doctor. It can be in anything. Yeah. You never know. You never know. Cooper took half a pill.
Those struggling are encouraged to ask for help. You can seek help at the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration helpline by calling the number on your screen. Reporting in Crawford County, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
The Crawford County attorney indicated in a release that fentanyl cases are increasing in the county. Now, they say their office will continue to prosecute these cases in an effort to combat the distribution of the opioid crisis in the country. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes coming up on the KOAM Morning News. The conclave begins today as cardinals gather to choose the next pope. And rain chances return. We'll have what to expect with Lindsay Gaffney in the Sky Watch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch today, the conclave gets underway to choose the next pope to lead the world's 1.4 billion Catholics. It comes less than 3 weeks after the death of Pope Francis. A new CBS News poll shows 76% of U.S. Catholics approve of the direction Pope Francis took the church, and many Americans are hopeful that the new pontiff will carry out his legacy. Tina Kraus has more from the Vatican.
Sunrise at St. Peter's Square, ushering in the dawn of the conclave to choose the new pope.
The tone is very calm, very quiet, very fraternal.
The 133 cardinals who will make that decision gathered at the Vatican this week. They'll be sequestered, cell phone service cut until the conclave ends. In this room in the Sistine Chapel, the so-called princes of the church will cast their ballots until they reach a 2/3 consensus. Papal robes in 3 sizes hang in the nearby crying room, where the new pontiff will face the feelings and the magnitude of the mission. Outside, a temporary chimney is in place where crowds will eagerly watch for signals. Black smoke meaning no pope has been chosen, or white smoke indicating a new pope has been elected.
We're going to be looking way over there for the smoke.
These college students from Maine say they plan to have a front row seat.
I'm not religious at all, but I would say that it's still quite a historic moment.
Ahead of the conclave, several cardinals have said they believe the field is wide open as to who the next pope will be. The vast majority of them were appointed by Pope Francis. That's a key detail, as a new CBS News poll shows 42% of U.S. Catholics hope the next pontiff will carry out Pope Francis's teachings. 37% prefer someone more conservative, while 21% want someone more progressive. New York Archbishop Timothy Dolan has his own ideal for the next pontiff.
I hope there's a pope that is like Jesus.
Big shoes to fill as anticipation builds. Tina Kraus, CBS News, the Vatican.
Well, Pope Francis was elected after 2 days of ballots. The shortest conclave took just 10 hours back in the 1500s. The longest conclave was in 1289, lasting 2 years and 9 months. We'll be right back, and Lindsay Gaffney returns with another look at your Wednesday forecast. Well, a pair of caught on camera sudden stops on some busy roadways both led to some shocking scenes for the motorists involved. Now, one was a questionable decision. The other was for good reason. Jeremy Roth has both in today's Take a Look at This.
Take a look at the calamitous car chaos that unfolded after a driver suddenly stopped in the middle of a busy highway. Ohio Department of Transportation officials shared video on social media of this incident captured on Interstate 71 near Columbus, where a driver, seemingly missing their intended exit, comes to a full stop in the middle of a free-flowing interstate. The stop almost immediately caused a chain reaction of stops and led to a shocking crash, piling up several cars behind the red van, which then appears to take off like nothing happened. Thankfully, no life-threatening injuries were reported, and ODOT shared the cautionary traffic tale, saying, "Do not be this driver." Other commenters were more direct, underscoring why stopping in a busy roadway can be so dangerous. Now, there are exceptions to the rule, and I think this driver in Iowa found one. Video shows them stopping in a busy intersection, but for good reason. Smoke is seen billowing from under the hood of the car, signaling to the driver it's probably a good idea to get out. Mere minutes later, the car becomes engulfed in flames. Cedar Rapids firefighters were quick to respond and tackle the blaze, which they said delayed traffic in the area for roughly an hour. So, today's lesson is, missed your exit, keep calm, and carry on to the next one. Car engines smoking, go ahead and stop here and hope the fire department is near. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Well, still to come, flu deaths in children hit a 15-year high. We're going to learn why fewer children are getting vaccinated. But first, here's Lindsay with a quick look at your forecast.
Well, we have a low risk for severe weather today. As you can see, just a very low risk out in those southern counties. But while we're looking, we've got a few of these light showers right now, a little bit of mist to start your morning off. But what we're looking forward to are some of these thunderstorms that are going to rotate back into the area by mid-morning, and then later on this evening, even stronger thunderstorms, mostly staying south of I-44 after about 9 p.m. But I'm going to have a full forecast right after this. Well, we do have our first little bit of a severe weather risk this week. You can see mostly staying south of us. A slight risk is down in Texas and Louisiana, but we've just got this little clip of that top part of the marginal risk for severe weather. So not expecting a big threat there. That low that we've been watching, bringing our rain chances this week, starting to inch a little bit closer. This morning, though, we're only seeing a little bit of that mist, some drizzle, some light sprinkles when you're heading out the door. So it is going to be a little annoying, a little inconvenient to get out the door and have that mist. However, you might still want to bring a rain jacket because all of these storms are going to start to rotate back in, pulling in more showers and thunderstorms. You can see developing even down in Oklahoma. By mid-morning today, about 9 to 10 p.m., we're going to start to see clusters of thunderstorms and isolated thunderstorms through the mid-morning hours, widespread rain and thunderstorms through early afternoon to early evening. Now, we die down a little bit there overnight, a couple of more isolated thunderstorms, but not a big threat. So let's dive right in. Okay, by 10 a.m., we're going to start to see wider spread rain, but these isolated storms are going to start to pop up. You can see out near Columbus and Oswego, strong little storm. This is not our severe threat, but you can see some strong storms. Might get a lot of lightning with that and thunder, but our severe threat is holding off until later in the evening. Now, early afternoon, like I said, widespread heavy rainfall in those northern counties. That's going to be mostly Pittsburgh, Parsons, and north. Staying north of Joplin, so Joplin's not going to see a lot of rainfall. Again, maybe that mist, those sprinkles in our central and southern counties, but that widespread heavy rainfall stays in those northern counties through mid-afternoon. Now, by about 6:30, 7 p.m., starting to die down a little bit, and then we have our severe threat 9 p.m., after 9 p.m., down there, staying south of I-44, but really we're watching that one isolated storm starts to push in towards Bella Vista, but clears out pretty quickly. And our threat for severe weather is only a little bit of hail, maybe some strong wind gusts. So not a huge threat regardless of that low risk. Now, as we're heading into Thursday morning, this is 7:30, so right when you're starting your day, again, starting with that mist, that light drizzle, that annoying just a little bit of rain, and then getting a few isolated storms throughout the day. Not going to be a severe threat there either, and it clears out by about 10 p.m. So we're not seeing a ton of rainfall chances widespread for most of us. And you can see starting right now, like I said, a little bit of mist, but out in Pittsburgh looking clear. So you can take a look downtown Pittsburgh. The roads are even looking clear versus what we saw earlier in Joplin. It was a little wet, a little slick out there. Now, like I said, rainfall amounts, mostly heavy rainfall in those northern counties. So by the end of today, could see another 1 to 2 inches of rain in those northern counties. But the rest of us, even through Friday, so that's going to be including Thursday, only seeing another 1/10 of an inch, maybe 1/4 of an inch of rainfall. So not a lot for accumulation for all of us. We've been seeing a lot of flooding risks through all of our severe weather events that we've seen. So we're not getting a big spread this week. Now, isolated storms, scattered thunderstorms continue today, and then we've got those isolated showers on Thursday. It all clears out by Friday morning. Temperatures are still a little bit cooler, but by the weekend, we're back into the 70s. And then next week, we're getting a little taste of summertime. So you can see we've got this pop-up storm chances Monday and even Thursday and Friday. And then those temperatures are in the 80s. So it's going to feel amazing outside. We're going to have a lot of sunny days. And then these isolated just pop-up storms, we call them pulse storms. It's what we normally see in the summertime. Now, we're not quite out of severe weather season yet, but we do have a little taste of summer this weekend and next week. That's a look at your forecast. Let's go over to Elise with Health Watch.
All right, Lindsay, thanks. Well, child flu deaths in the U.S. are at their highest level in 15 years. The CDC reported 216 children have died during this flu season, the most since the 2009-2010 swine flu pandemic. Now, doctors say the biggest factor is that fewer children are getting flu shots, with vaccination levels dropping from 64% 5 years ago to 49% this season. Well, a salmonella outbreak has sickened at least 7 people across 6 states. The CDC says the outbreak is linked to backyard poultry and has spread to Missouri, Florida, Illinois, South Dakota, Utah, and Wisconsin. Health officials warned that even healthy-looking chickens can potentially carry the salmonella bacteria. And babies under the age of 1 who receive targeted coaching from their parents have greatly improved communication and cognitive development. A study by the Kennedy Krieger Institute had caregivers talk with infants as they played, narrating what they were doing and giving them verbal support and engagement. Now, those babies developed better social skills and improved nonverbal learning. That's a look at Health Watch this morning. Stick around. We're back with more news and weather right after this. All right, now at 5:30, the community of Quapaw turns out for a day of recognition for missing or murdered Indigenous people.
And we have more rain chances continuing today and tomorrow. I'll have the latest details coming up.
Plus, drivers on K7 might find their trips delayed due to a road improvement project.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:28. I'm Elise Snowy.
And I'm Lindsay Gaffney.
Wednesday morning, May 7th. As we mentioned earlier, we're just trucking through this month of May through 2025. And last month felt a little bit slow with all of that severe weather that we were having.
It did. And we're starting off, I think, pretty well this month, this week too. You know, not seeing a big severe weather threat, and even, you know, next week could see a little bit more summertime temperatures,
which
summertime weather.
Really nice.
I'm really looking forward to it. Though we do have a couple more days of rain chances to get through. So let's go ahead and take a look outside. We've got a low risk for severe weather today, which is our biggest threat that we've seen this week, and it is very minimal. And then tomorrow we're going to have more scattered shower chances, and it all is cleared out by Friday. So taking a look outside right now, currently you can see in Joplin, range line, a little wet roads out there, but maybe some sprinkles. We've got temperatures in the upper 50s, so we're staying a little bit cooler this morning. Upper 50s, we're going to stay like that for the next hour or two before we start to creep up into the 70s. Now, we're looking at thunderstorms out towards the west of us and south of us. Those are going to start to move in a little bit later this morning, but we do have some clusters of light showers, maybe even a little bit of thunderstorms up there and moving up towards Yates Center as well. So we do still have a little bit of a disruption through your morning commute, depending on where you're coming in from. Joplin looks a little bit more clear right now. We're still going to have those overcast skies, but by later this morning, thunderstorms are going to start to push in from the west. This is about 8 a.m., not as bad until about 10 a.m. Then we're going to see these isolated storms popping up, and maybe a little bit more of a widespread rain chance. However, the isolated storms are going to be what's dropping the most rainfall. So widespread sprinkles, light mist, and then out near Columbus, Oswego, you can see a little thunderstorm there, and then heading into Independence, another little thunderstorm. So that's going to continue to push north through early afternoon, and then we're going to get heavy rain setting up in those northern counties early afternoon until about late afternoon, early evening, so about 6-7 p.m. And then we're going to see another chance for thunderstorms coming up later this evening, but I'm going to have a full look coming up.
All right, Lindsay, thanks. Well, Kawapa, community members participated in a walk for families of missing or murdered Indigenous persons. The gatherings aim to honor victims and give grieving families a chance to share their stories in hopes of finding healing and answers about missing loved ones.
This is our way of letting their spirits, we believe their spirits are out somewhere. We're all connected through here. He's seen to it that we're connected this way.
They have to have that closure. Don't give up on working those cases, finding leads, because it is horrible to have a family member that's been missing for years and you just don't know whether they're still alive or they're not.
Victims of a lost loved one say they appreciate the support of the community. Well, road work is underway along K7 south of Girard to US 400, causing minor delays for drivers. Now, the project includes a mill and overlay to repair damaged sections and extend the life of the highway. Flaggers and a pilot car are guiding one-lane traffic through the zone with expected delays under 15 minutes.
They look at surface conditions. These were really before a lot of the potholes appeared, but they took core samples and then they realized that there was a weak layer. Normally you'd mill an 1.5 inches out, but there was a weak layer that they needed to go a 3-inch mill to get to sound surface.
Now, KDOT expects the $5.5 million project to be complete by mid-June, weather permitting. Goodman city officials met last night to consider a replacement for the open South Ward alderman seat, a position left unfilled after the April election. Voters picked Clay Sexton for the job, but he was also elected mayor and chose that position instead. Now, we're told none of Sexton's nominees chose to fill the role last night. So as it stands, the position is still unfilled.
You kind of want to have all 4 seats done. That way, if ends up being ties, the mayor can then break ties. But it will stay vacant until we can find someone that the council will support to go into that position. And with us only having 3 people, it can sometimes take a few tries.
During the meeting, the mayor named Barry Ruddick as a potential nominee, but city officials never seconded it. The city of Joplin hosts a recycling, education, and outreach open house at the Joplin Public Library. The event invited residents to share feedback on obstacles to recycling, as well as ideas to improve community education.
We take cardboard, brown packing paper, they go together, papers, notebooks, phone books. We take e-waste, all your electronics, TVs, about anything with a cord we'll take. Paperboard, like your cereal boxes and things like that, and glass, which is 100% recyclable.
Now, city officials say the input will help shape a plan to boost recycling awareness across the region. The goal is to identify challenges and enhance outreach efforts for the future. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Thousands of Yellowstone baked beans are being recalled due to undeclared soy. Plus, U.S. and China trade talks set to begin. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. In Consumer Watch this morning, the U.S. and China are set to launch high-stakes trade talks in Switzerland later this week. The U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer are the top two U.S. officials involved in the talks. Now, the two countries have been locked in a trade standoff for weeks after President Trump slapped on a 145% tariff on Chinese goods, and China struck back with its own 125% tariff on U.S. products. Bessent said in an ATV interview that the talks will likely focus on de-escalation, not about the big deal trade. Well, more than 4,000 cases of Yellowstone baked beans are being recalled because they contain undeclared soy. Now, this could cause a severe or life-threatening reaction to people with soy allergies. According to a post by the Food and Drug Administration, the product was distributed in more than 20 states and has a best if used by date of February 17, 2028. Consumers can return the product to the place of purchase for a full refund. And whether you're rushing in to meet today's big Real ID deadline or not, Krispy Kreme has a sweet treat for you. The chain is giving out one free original glazed donut to customers today only. No purchase necessary and no need to show ID. Well, for the first time, ships are reaching American shores carrying Chinese imports subject to 145% tariffs. The Port of Los Angeles says cargo is down 35% compared to the same time last year. Experts predict those lighter loads could soon lead to inventory shortages and price hikes. Now, the Trump administration says it's set to hold the highest level trade talks yet with Chinese officials. Amy Kiley has the details and a look at what's at stake for Americans.
My sense is that this will be about de-escalation, not about the big trade deal.
Top U.S. and Chinese officials are set to discuss tariffs in Switzerland this weekend. Authorities say Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer will be there.
We don't want to decouple. What we want is fair trade.
The Chinese Commerce Ministry confirms the talks. It says it's, quote, taking into full consideration global expectations, China's own interests, and the appeals of American businesses and consumers. It's unclear if the countries have negotiated much or anything already, given mixed messages like these.
They've reached out since the 145% tariffs.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Do you believe
a lot?
Do you believe
a lot all the time? We're talking.
These will be the highest level trade talks we've seen between the United States and China since those 145% tariffs went into place.
That's correct.
The meeting comes as the U.S.-China trade war causes concern for many U.S. investors.
Markets basically are saying, show us the deals.
And for U.S. business owners.
There are 900,000 workers in Southern California connected to the supply chain, and there are 9 million across the United States.
Some supply chain experts also report less cargo is entering the U.S. They warn that could cause inventory shortages.
The cargo doesn't lie. You're seeing the price increases come through.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
That's a look at Consumer Watch this morning. Here's Lindsay with a quick look at your forecast.
Well, we do have a low risk for severe weather today, mostly along and south of I-44, though currently we're just having a little bit of these light rain showers, a little mist through the morning hours, but we are going to be watching storms developing out near Woodward in Oklahoma, Dodge City. You can see how they're starting to rotate back in. Those are the storms we're watching for, pushing in the next several hours. I'll have a full look coming up.
Well, despite some recent rains, farmers are continuing to make progress with planting. We'll have an update in today's Ag Day Minute.
I'm Clinton Griffiths with today's Ag Day Minute. We could see spring planting surge over the next few days.
as drier weather arrives in the Midwest. USDA now says corn planting is 40% completed nationally. That's 1 point ahead of the 5-year average. States like Illinois and Iowa continue to run behind that average, with Illinois just a third done. Meanwhile, soybean planting is 30% done. That's 7 points ahead of the 5-year average. The I-states in Nebraska making big jumps in just a week's time. Despite uneasiness about the U.S. economy, Americans appear to be keeping DoorDash busy. The largest food delivery service says total orders climbed 17% during the quarter to $732 million, which is a quarterly record. It also has announced it's making 2 multi-billion-dollar acquisitions: London-based food delivery service Deliveroo, along with 7 Rooms, a New York company that makes hospitality management software. And here's a way you can help feed hungry people this weekend. The National Association of Letter Carriers are holding their annual Stamp Out Hunger Food Drive. The Mail Carrier Food Drive, which started back in 1993, is the country's largest single-day food drive. Letter carriers across the U.S. will collect donations of non-perishable food items. All you have to do is leave them in bags near your mailbox this Saturday. For more Ag News, watch Ag Day weekdays on this station or get updates over at agweb.com.
Now let's head over to Lindsay for a full look at
Well, we do still have that low risk for severe weather today, but it's not a huge threat, mostly in areas in Oklahoma and along and south of I-44. So that's not going to be until later on this evening. What we're looking at currently, we've got our low pressure system starting to push further into our area, and that's going to bring more thunderstorm chances. Currently, dry out in the Joplin area, maybe a little mist moving just north of Pittsburgh, a little light sprinkles all the way out to Chanute and Yates Center. So that's going to just continue over the next 30 minutes to an hour. And then heading out towards Wichita, out in Oklahoma, starting to see how these storms are rotating around that low. That cold front is being pushed in, pushing in more thunderstorms. So that's what we're going to expect to see mid-morning. So it's going to be around 10, 11 a.m. Clusters of thunderstorms and isolated thunderstorms start to push in, bringing those thunderstorm chances to our central counties out from the west, and then lifting north, heavy rainfall through most of the afternoon before it dives back down later on this evening. So let's dive right in. We've got 9:30 a.m., like I said, 9 to 10, these isolated thunderstorms. You can see out near Columbus, Oswego, this is about 9:30 to 10. Going to see some stronger storms, though not a severe threat, and then just isolated storms in our central and western counties. Now, all of this is going to continue to lift further north by early afternoon. So now we're at 1 p.m. Thunderstorms in our central and northern counties, or north of our central counties, in fact, around Pittsburgh and north, not really touching the Joplin area. Those are going to continue, but we do have isolated storms popping up mostly in our central and southern counties. So we're all going to get rain today. However, northern counties seeing heavy rainfall, even an additional 1 to 2 inches of rain, while the rest of us may only see 1/10 of an inch of rain. Now all that rain continues to push further north out of our area. Still going to see a couple of isolated showers, isolated thunderstorms through the evening hours. This is about 6:30, 7 p.m. And then later on in the evening is where we actually see our low risk for severe weather. So the only chance for severe weather we're going to see today, that's going to be coming up later this evening around 9 to 10 p.m. And really staying south of I-44, really you can see that isolated storm pushing into Benton County, Bella Vista area, Bentonville area. That clears out very quickly, but with that we could see a strong gust front or even a low risk for hail. Now heading into Thursday morning, 7 a.m., again, that light mist, light drizzle through the morning hours, and then maybe an isolated shower or two popping up through the afternoon and late morning and early afternoon hours. But by the evening, mostly starting to clear out. Even the clouds start to clear out. So we're looking pretty good. Now currently you can see downtown Pittsburgh, dry roads, still again maybe a light mist, but not a big inconvenience. Now for most of us through Thursday and Friday, we're only seeing 1/10 of an inch, maybe even a little bit of less of rainfall. Those northern counties definitely 1 inch to 2 inches of rain, especially with how long that layer of heavy rainfall wants to sit. But by Friday, we're cleared out. Sun pops back out. Temperatures only reach upper 60s, low 70s, 70s for the weekend, and then 80s next week with pop-up storm chances, but not widespread. Now, that's a look at your forecast. Let's go over to Elise.
All right, Lindsay, thanks. Today in sports, you heard Colby Dugan mention earning an award. Now, that's because he gets named MIAA Pitcher of the Year yesterday afternoon, in addition to being a first-team all-conference honoree. Yesterday, Missouri Southern and Pittsburgh State softball both hear their names get called for the NCAA tournament. Today, the Lions are getting some final practices in before making the trip down to Southern Arkansas for the regional.
We've worked hard for it all season to just keep going, playing as long as we can. I think it's just fun. This time of the year is fun just to be playing this late in the season.
Finally feel like the work just paid off. It was just a sigh of relief. We knew we were going to get there, but we couldn't wait just to see our name out there.
Camaraderie is top notch. It's a player-led team. They support one another, and they'll go balls to the wall out here on the field for each other, and that's what it takes. And they're all in for each other.
Now, of course, the Lions aren't our only local team participating in the 2025 NCAA tournament. Pittsburgh State is the 5 seed and will play in the regional quad held at Central Oklahoma. PSU has some experienced players who have been in this position before and know what it takes to win games in the postseason.
It takes grit, and you have to be really tough, and you have to be mentally tough, physically tough, battle tested, and I'm really excited because I think that we really are, and I think that this will be a lot of fun.
Our team bonding, the way that we gel has gotten so much better. We're super comfortable. These are my best friends, and I think they would say the same thing for everyone else on the team. And honestly, that's why we've gotten so much better, is because we just play for each other.
Now, the college baseball season is about a week behind softball, so Pitt State and Missouri Southern baseball are both getting ready for the MIAA tournament, which is scheduled to start today. The Gorillas have put themselves in a position where a successful conference tournament could lead to hosting an NCAA regional next week.
Yeah, this is kind of what you play for. You show up in August to have a chance to make it to the conference tournament, to make it to a regional and those things. But, it's exciting to have those opportunities. We've set ourselves up to have a chance. Different format. It'll be interesting to see how this goes, single elimination and everything. So you got to go out and play your best baseball 3 days in a row. If you do that, you got an opportunity to move on.
I mean, it's a pretty cool award, but I just think it's more important just as a team how we've been playing. I think we've had a really special year, and we just want to continue to make history here at Pittsburgh State.
Next guy up, pitch the ball, throw strikes, and play our brand of baseball. So that's what we're looking forward to doing here in the postseason with the new season coming. Anybody can get hot at the right time and get going to carry, so that's what we're looking to do.
Now, Drew Townsend from Missouri Southern is our only local honoree on the second team all-conference. And then the third team features 3 more Gorillas: Tanner Leslie, Ricky Sanchez, and Hayden Dyer. And 3 more from Southern: Ethan Clark, Braden Lukart, and Jacob Flip. Now, the conference tournament gets started with the first round today and will take place in both Pittsburgh and Joplin through Saturday. Well, he's joined on the first team All-MIAA with his teammates Maddox Thornton, Dakin Brewer, Alex Rogers, and Drew Bugner. Rogers is on the Gold Glove team as well, along with Ricky Sanchez and a couple of Missouri Southern Lions, Braden Lukart and Drew Townsend. That's it for sports. We'll be right back. Well, a new study has found Tyrannosaurus Rex ancestors likely came to North America after crossing a land bridge from Asia. Paleontologists used mathematical modeling to conclude the T-Rex precursor probably crossed the Bering Strait between modern-day Siberia and Alaska about 70 million years ago. Now, this finding tracks with past research that suggested these dinosaurs were more closely related to the top predators in Asia than those in North America. The team also found that these animals likely experienced a rapid increase in size during a period of cooler global temperatures. And get ready to travel or be a hometown tourist. Today is National Tourism Day. Congress first initiated the day in 1983 to raise awareness about the important role tourism plays in our economy and culture. And to thank everyone who works in the tourism industry, the United States is one of the most popular countries for tourists worldwide. Celebrate Tourism Day by visiting a local landmark or museum, or by planning your next trip.
Well, we've got these clusters of light showers and sprinkles through our morning hours. However, what we're watching for over the next couple of hours are thunderstorms that are moving in from Oklahoma and Kansas, well, western Oklahoma and Kansas, starting to push into the area by mid-morning around 9-10 a.m. into our western counties. After that, we're going to see heavy rainfall shifting a little bit further up to the north, and then isolated thunderstorm chances later south of I-44 this evening. Now we've got some isolated shower chances on Thursday, clouds clear Friday, temperatures return to the 70s this weekend with sunny skies, and even 80s next weekend. So we're looking fantastic this weekend and next week. Just got to get through a couple more days of rainfall.